Hi YouTube and my fellow Grimmsters. This is Sandra, aka Mystikaal, here to do a Grimm recap for Season 2, Episode 18, Ring of Fire / Volcanalis. The episode had two different names, so I'm going to use both. Okay, the opening piece of Grimm lore is the demon came home and he declared that the air is not clear. I smell the flesh of man. So we open on a woman on a mountainside. She's taking pictures, she's videotaping it, collecting rock samples, and she's marveling over the different types of rock that are there. She hears a twig break behind her, and she goes rushing back to her car. Just as she's getting in her car, she's attacked by a man who's saying, "No, you can't have it. It doesn't belong to you. You can't take it." And she pulls out her pepper spray and sprays him in the eye. And while he's struggling on the ground, she drives away. He stands up and he vogues into something that looks like a bull. Huge, massive horns. One of them is broken. And she's driving away down the mountain. She calls her boss and says she's been attacked, but she got away. Cut to her coming inside her house. She puts down the rocks that are in these specimen bags. She puts them on the table, walks in the next room, and she hears a crackling in the next room, and it starts getting very hot, and pictures on the wall start melting, and she goes back to the other room and looks on the table, and where the rocks were is just now a hunk of melted plastic. And she turns around and a fire beast attacks her. So we come back, and the police are investigating the case. Of course, Nick gets called in on the case, and he goes to investigate it with Wu, which, by the way, they shipped Hank off, told him he had 3 weeks vacation. They shipped him off from the police station. And as much as I love my Wu, I love him very much. He's very, Reggie Lee is great with the one-liners and his deliveries, perfection. He is that dude, and I love him on Twitter as well. Love my Wu, but do not think y'all gonna ship off Hank like we don't care. We love our Hank. There will be rioting amongst the fandom, baby. You better not do it. Okay, Grimm writers, keep Hank around. I don't know, we started the season, he wasn't around for a couple episodes, and now you're shipping him off again. I don't like how that looks. It looks like you're going to write him off of the show to put Wu in there, because Wu has been featured a lot lately, which I love, but I love me some Hank too. Bring back Hank. Thank you. Okay, so Wu and Nick are investigating the scene. They find the woman's camera that's property of the company Eon. They go to her boss, talk to her boss, find out what she was doing, and he takes them to the mountain to investigate and see see if they can find out anything. And while they're there, her boss, his name is Tom, he grabs some rocks, and Nick gets his spidey sense tingles, and he realizes that there's wrestling about. So he winds up chasing down the guys that had attacked the woman, and they arrest him, take him back to the station. They look into his past, and they find out that his wife and daughter were killed in a similar fashion to this woman, and they had tried to prosecute him for it, but they couldn't because there was no proof. And so he talks to the captain about this, and the captain decides he's going to work with him on this case because Nick tells him, the guy, it's Vesson, and the captain says, who is it nowadays? Because who is it really? Everybody they run into is Vesson. So they go in and interrogate the guy, and you could kind of tell that he's been that crazy old dude on the mountain for way too long. Like, he hasn't been around people. He's a little out there. But he gives them the name of the fire beast. It's Volcanalis, and you know, in their questioning, they thought it was him, and he's saying, you know, no, it's because they took what belonged to him, and you know that once he rises, there's nothing that can be done, and you know, all this gloom and doom. So that sends Nick off to go do some research, and he finds out what the guy's name that they arrested was Marcus. I call him Marcus the Bull. So Marcus the Bull, they find out, you know, he finds information about him in the trailer, and they find out information about Volcanalis, but it's in Latin, so they bring the book to the captain for him to translate it. And you know, basically it's a Roman, he was a priest of the Roman god Vulcan, the god of fire, and so he's responsible for like any major catastrophe that happened around the volcano, because people were taking the rocks, which are sacred, and you know, whenever people take the rocks, Volcanalis comes to punish them and retrieve the rocks. So once they finish talking to Marcus the Bull and reading what's in the book, they realized that Tom took rocks. They remember that Tom took rocks from the mountain, so they decided to go check on him, Nick and the captain, and let him know what's up. And in the meantime, you know, Tom is at home enjoying his dinner, you know, looking at the rocks sitting on his table, and he hears a noise, goes and checks the door, comes back. There's water in a carafe on the countertop that starts boiling. You know, it's hot in here. It's getting hot. And he turns around and the rocks are gone from the table. Where did they go? Turn back around. Oh, Volcanalis came for him, right? So he waltzes him around the room. And he's, you know, doing that choke that he kills his victims by boiling them from the inside out, which, by the way, you know, you're a guest in that house, and you're a very rude guest, Volcanalis, because it is not polite to boil your host from the inside out. You need to brush up on your Emily Post, because she would not approve, okay? So he's starting to boil him up, but Nick and the captain come in and they start shooting at Volcanalis, which okay, he's made of fire, pure molten fire, like lava. Like, what are bullets gonna do to him? I don't know why at no point someone, you know, tried to get some water. But you know, they fire at him, and he throws the man aside. I mean, they didn't even show whether or not the guy lived, like if he had gotten far enough to boil him, or you know what happened. But Volcanalis jumps through the window. He's running down the street, you know, everything he touches or passes by lights on fire, and his footprints leave fire. And it's like, he looked really cool. He was like just all bones and sinew, and like from inside you could see the fire boiling and roiling. It was very cool CGI for me. I liked watching him. So he's running down the block, and Nick goes after him, but he melts his way through a bridge, and like he loses him. So then they form a posse. It's the captain, Nick, Monroe, and Marcus the Bull. And they decide they're going to go up to the mountain, take a whole bunch of rocks so they can lure Volcanalis back to some abandoned warehouse, because they came up with a plan, which was to freeze, you know, make hell freeze over with liquid nitrogen. So they gather all the rocks in the center of the warehouse, and they wait for Volcanalis to come. And he comes shooting out of a manhole cover, like the manhole cover goes flying, it boils and everything. I'm like, there are manholes in the middle of warehouses? Okay. But he comes out, and Monroe is so frightened for a second that like he rogues and you know, he's like, get a grip, and Marcus the Bull had volunteered to be the bait so that, you know, Volcanalis would come for him. And he's like, yeah, I took your rocks, come and get me. And, you know, as soon as he gets into the middle of the room, he says, now, and they spray him down with the liquid nitrogen, and he's frozen, but his eyes are still molten, and they're moving around the room watching them as they move. Nick hands a sledgehammer to Marcus, and Marcus knocks him into a million pieces. So no more Volcanalis, he's gone. Monroe picks up one of the pieces and says it's like black glass or obsidian, and he turns it over, and it's a piece where from his face, and the eye is still molten and looking around, and then he drops it, and it finally goes out, and Monroe says, hey, keeping Portland weird. That is such an anthem, or, you know, for Grimm. That's perfect. So that was it for our baddie of the week. Also in the episode, they had Adalind shade. She went to meet with some gypsies to negotiate about her baby. The head of the gypsy, Stefania, was played by this wonderful actress. She pops up in like everything I watch. She's got this great accent and this great gravelly voice, and she gave a terrifying amnios to Adalind because they wanted to make sure that the baby's blood was royal blood. So she used this instrument, this metal, and huge long needle, and, you know, she had her sons hold Adalind down or she shoved it in. You know, if it was anyone else, I'd probably feel bad, but it's Adalind, so, you know, whatever. So they tested the blood, and, you know, showed that it was truly royal blood, and so she offered her price for the baby, and it was, I think, 500,000 euros if it's a boy, and 750,000 euros if it's a girl. But Adalind said, I don't want money, you don't understand. What I want is what the Grimm took from me. I want my powers back. And the gypsy Stefania, she was like, well, what you want may not be possible. And she was like, well, I guess there's no reason for me to go to term. And her friend who was with her, I forgot what her name was, she was like, she was scared. I was just like, wait, hold on, she don't know what she's talking about. Take the money, because they're finna kill us up in here. It's like, but no, she stood her ground. She said, those are my terms. So we'll see if the gypsy's able to give her powers back. They probably will, because I don't know, they love Adalind. What else? Oh, yes, Juliette. She, okay, again, with the multi-nicks. She came home with groceries, and she's in the kitchen, and she's got, you know, there's nicks all over the place. Her memories of Nick are trying to come back to her, but, you know, she's seeing them as actual manifestations of Nick throughout the room, and, you know, she responds to it in the way that she responds to everything, like, oh, God, stop. And she runs out of the house, and, you know, as she's running out of the house, there's another memory of Nick on the front lawn, and then she runs, you know, gets in her car, she's driving away, and there's another memory of Nick inside the car, and, you know, she's trying to, I guess, disperse him, like you need an iron rod to disperse a ghost, baby, your arm ain't gonna do it. But she's trying to disperse him, and she gets into a car accident, so she's in the hospital. They notify Nick. He comes in to see her, and, you know, she's just like, no, not again. Just go away. I can't take it. And, you know, Nick's just like, I don't understand what's going on. You know, I talked to the doctor. They said you hit your head, you got a concussion or something, but you're gonna be okay. She's just like, you're everywhere. I need time away from you. I need you to leave me alone. He's like, bitch, I ain't seen you since we took that potion and I was rolling on the floor going magenta, pink, and all kind of colors trying to help your ass. You know, like, I mean, he didn't say that. That's my interpretation. He was just the sweet old Nick he always is. Just like, but I have been giving you your space. What do you mean? What are you talking about? And, you know, she's just like, I need you to leave me alone. Well, she did the only sensible thing she's done since this whole coma thing, and she reached out and touched him. Reached out, put her hands right on his abs. I was like, that's what you should be doing. I mean, wasting time. If it was me and I had 11 Nicks in my house, they would find me passed out from trying to interact with all of them. Like, yes, baby, I want some eggs. Yes, we should get that car. Yes, could you rake the yard, please? No, I know that we don't have ice, but we could go get a bag down the street. Like, I would be in heaven. Let me get 11 Nicks up in my house. Okay, first of all, what you should have done from when you woke up from the damn coma, okay? If I woke up from a coma and Nick was telling me that he was my fiance and he was in love, well, I don't remember you, but we will make some new memories. Because you don't kick that out of your bed. What's wrong with you, chick? She had him sleeping on the couch, messing up his back when he got to go out and fight vested. Like, no, I can't with this chick Juliette. She cried every time. She always looked like she about to burst into tears. You know, like, what do you want for dinner tonight? I don't. Like, shut up. I just want like a sinkhole to open up underneath her and for her to disappear forever. Like, it swallows her up and then reseals itself, never to be found again, because I'm so sick of her. I just went on a rant. I forgot what I was talking about. Okay, so she was in the hospital. I can't stand Juliette. I really can't. And, you know, she set Nick off, crushed him again. Like, he just comes to her all the time like a perky little puppy, just with his tail wagging anytime she deigns to speak to him, and she just keeps kicking the Nicky puppy. Stop kicking the Nicky puppy, heifer. Okay. Okay, after the hospital, she goes and sees the Hispanic lady that they had run into on a case, who knew that she was going through something, and, you know, she tells her that she's having these experiences with multi-nicks throughout the house, and the memories, and the woman tells her she has to focus on one memory and relive the memory in the present as if it was happening in the past. So she gives some tea to help her focus, and then Juliette goes back home and she relives the memory of Nick moving into her house, and you know, it left her with warm fuzzy feelings. She went upstairs, went into the drawer with all the Nick things in it, and took a picture out of the two of them, and then she saw the ring that Nick gave her to propose, and she took the ring and went downstairs and relived that memory. And so now she remembers how much she loved him. That was the end of the episode. And, you know, I mean, I'm like, oh, great, you have your memory back. Go away now. 'Cause I don't care. I don't care at all about you, Juliette. You suck. Okay. I guess that was it for this episode. If you have any comments, leave them below. Be sure to, you know, subscribe if you like what you saw, and thumbs up. Alright, and we'll see you next time for another review of Grimm. Bye, YouTube.